Today's episode is going to be an interview with a top producer. He is a friend, he's a colleague, he's one of the individuals that I respect the most in the mortgage industry, and his story is one of my most favorite stories to tell, and you get to hear it directly from the source. This is a podcast episode, regardless if you're a mortgage loan originator, a real estate agent, or you're an entrepreneur in your own right. You're gonna want to tune in. You'll be inspired, you'll laugh, and you're gonna pick up a couple decent knowledge nuggets along the way. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and a very special guest. Originally from Orange County, California, today he calls Knoxville, Tennessee home. He once went on tour with Nelly and Busta Rhymes. He has done sound for Rod Stewart. Yet, he is a second generation, 20-year mortgage professional, top producer, and one of the best business coaches I have seen in practice. He is my friend. He is my colleague. He's the one, the only, Coach BK, Brian Kimball. BK, welcome to TLOP, man.
What's up, beautiful?
Yes, we get to do this finally.
This is fun.
Yeah, this took 5 years too long.
I know.
5 years too long. You and I worked together for a solid 7 years. Been friends for 8 now, going on 9 years.
Yep.
And you have such an incredible story that I have told to strangers. And I'm sure no different when I do anything. I'm sure I butcher it. I'm sure I embellish. I'm sure I kind of have a half truth in there, but it sounded good to me at the time. So I went ahead and went all in on it. And I'm excited to hear it directly come from you. And more importantly, I want the audience who's tuning in, whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple, or better yet, we hope that you're watching us on YouTube. And I'm excited that they get to hear your story. And there's so many different places we can go, yet we only have like 30 minutes to do this in. I want to start quickly with your second generation. Did you grow up knowing, hey, my career is going to be in mortgage? Or did you grow up saying, I will never do mortgages again? Or not again, I will never do mortgages because that's what my parents do.
Somewhere in between. I was on a different path when I was a kid.
Okay.
So I was not really considering mortgage as a career, but I also wasn't opposed to it. I mean, I lived a good life growing up, and so I definitely see, looking back now too, the life that the mortgage industry afforded for my family as I was a kid. And so, but it wasn't on my horizon or my plans early on.
You mean not all kids get to grow up in Orange County, California sailing?
Nope.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool upbringing.
Yeah, what a cool upbringing. But no, that wasn't your first career. What was your first career?
I was a live sound engineer.
Yeah, I used that in your soft promo you and I were talking about last night at dinner. You literally got to go on tour with Nelly.
Yep.
Like E-I-E-I-O.
Same one,
like
yep.
country grammar,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's right.
Okay. Yep. In the St. Lunatics probably, right? It would have been
right.
Nelly and the St. Lunatics and Busta Rhymes?
That's right.
Wow. What was that like, out of curiosity? Like, this is, I know this show isn't about Brian going on tour with like famous 90s rappers, but I'm just curious.
I mean, it's a job, right? So there is, I would say, an initial degree of like celebrity, whoa. And then it's like, okay, well, I got to get to work, right? So, but it was cool seeing some of the personality and the, I would say, demeanor off camera and off stage was pretty fun. So, yeah.
Like two separate people? Like, is some of it so much of an act?
No, they're just like a real human when they're not performing. Still like same types of people, but
okay.
You see them like talking. They're normal, right?
And then you were telling me last night, I used this in the soft intro, that you actually got to do sound for Rod Stewart.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't like his sound guy. He was performing at a birthday party that I was running sound for. But yes, both him and Natalie Cole were performing at this birthday party. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. How long did you do that for before you found mortgage as your forever career?
I started doing sound in junior high when the old sound guy just walked away or moved on to something else. And
so that was like in your church.
Yep.
Like you were the sound guy.
Church youth group.
Okay.
I think I was around 12 or 13 years old. And I did that. Let's see. I got 2009 was when I started getting into mortgage. So that would have been 13-ish years that I was doing audio. So yeah, it was a fun run, but not a forever.
What drew you into mortgage?
Yeah, that's a good one. My wife and I got pregnant with our first.
Okay.
And I always knew that audio tech was fun, but it was not going to let me have my family live the way we wanted to live. So it was never a forever career in my plans. So we got pregnant with our first, and I got my degree in business. And so I started thinking, what could I do? Mortgage was obviously like right on the table and an option, because like I already had a background a bit with my family.
Yeah, well, your dad was running a branch. Your mom was working for the branch.
Yep, that's
Were any
right.
of your siblings in mortgage at the time?
Nope.
No, but you had that opportunity if you wanted to come off that tour bus, quit traveling the country because it's time to maybe settle down a little bit.
Yep.
Be more rooted, potentially even earn more income.
Yep.
You had to find something different to do. So this was something you could slide into?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to do finance, something. I'm good with numbers. Mortgage, stockbrokering, and being a financial planner were the three things that I kind of looked into. As I talked to people in the different industries, and I ultimately tried to think about like what I wanted my work to look like. And as I looked at all the different things, what I really came down to is I wanted to help normal people. And I say normal, like,
everyday Americans.
Everyday Americans, they don't have stockbrokers and financial advisors, and the type of people that I wanted to help and work with, they don't have that. So mortgage was a great place for me to say, hey, I'm good with numbers. I like helping people, and this is also a career that I can live a great life doing.
How would you describe those first 2 years? So you got into the industry 2009. So it wasn't like you were in a robust time period.
Yeah, around Dodd-Frank coming out, so that was fun.
Yeah, we were coming out of the financial collapse, and Dodd-Frank was happening, and later down the road, because of Dodd-Frank, we're going to have TRID, then we're going to have LO compensation rule changes. But those first 2 years, how would you describe those to a stranger, or heck, how would you describe it to the people who are tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple right now?
It was wild. 2009, the crash was still kind of working because it was a double dip, right? It dropped in like 2006, 7, bounced back up, and then went back down again. And it was not really a great time to get into the mortgage space. It was wild because, man, I was getting calls from people like, help me save my house. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I just got my license. And
they're probably talking loan modification, short sale, stuff like that. Okay.
Stuff that I couldn't even do to help. And then through a couple friends and contacts, I actually got introduced to a home builder.
Okay.
And so I was a rookie LO, and my first like real meaningful account was a affordable housing home builder. So they were building condominiums in Los Angeles, and these, high cost area condos are $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, and we were layering in down payment assistance. So we were literally bringing in 50% of the purchase price in down payment assistance.
Wow.
But complicated stuff, man. I mean, I'm cutting my teeth in the mortgage business doing purchase loans with 6 trust deeds and a mortgage credit certificate attached to it. So it was very cool because I had a source of business right off the bat. Frankly, I wasn't so busy doing anything else, so I had the time to figure out those tough loans. But yeah, I mean, my first 2 years was dealing with people trying to keep their homes, and then learning this crazy affordable housing, income restricted financing stuff.
So you didn't have that normal struggle that many of us have, where getting through those first 2 years is very trying because there's very limited loans or loan amounts funding, meaning there's not that many units, there's not that much volume, therefore my paycheck is minimal.
Yep.
You, because of this introduction to this affordable home builder and these condos, you didn't have to suffer through that.
I still suffered.
You did?
Very much, yeah. And, in like the first year, I think I only closed like 5 or 6 loans for them.
Perfect. Okay.
So there was certainly a build-up and an on-ramp. My biggest year with 3 different builders, I closed about 70 loans just with those builders. But I was also very cognizant that I had a lot of eggs in a very few number of baskets. And so it was always part of what I was doing, trying to build just resale realtor referral based business.
Yeah, we didn't cover this yet, but just for I guess, context for the viewer or the listener, what is your best year ever in the industry? Like what units and volume?
I don't have all this stuff super memorized. I think it was like right below 50 million, like 48 and
was
some
it like
change.
150 units ish, something like that.
I think like 135 or
yeah,
something like
and
that,
then this year will look like what for you?
Probably 32 million
In personal production.
Yep,
and
personal
then
production.
your branch, because you have a couple LOs who work for you.
Yep.
Will that be another 20 or 30 million on top of that?
Yeah, probably another 20, 25. So I would guess the branch should be around 50 this year.
Okay, yeah. So you're running right now, non-COVID years. We're talking 2025. You're running this out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Your branch is doing a little bit north of 50 million a year, and you're doing 30 million of that 50.
Yeah, roughly.
Cool.
Yep.
Your best year, 150 units, 48 million.
Yep.
I'm guessing that would have been like a COVID type year, or was that prior to COVID?
Yeah, that was COVID.
Yeah, because your story is interesting. This is what I want to jump into. You had a great book of business.
Yeah.
Right? In Orange County, California.
Yep.
And for the most part, you walked away from it.
I did, yeah.
Now, what you did, I can't wait for you to share this story. Y'all, imagine putting you, your spouse, and your 3 kids
And a dog.
Puppy, into a bus that you bought.
Yep.
And you put 60,000 miles. You visit 40 states.
Yep.
And you leave California to wind up 2 years later living in Knoxville, Tennessee, because as Brian tells the story, that's where the bus broke down. I'm sure it's more than just that's where the bus broke down, right? To today, finding yourself living on 12 acres as a homesteader, right? This Southern California kid who grew up sailing with his dad, right, is now like milking cows, raising chickens, and hunting deer on his own land. You spend less than $100 a year on meat that you'd buy from the grocery store because you all raise it on your own property.
That's right.
Okay. There has to be some crazy ass life stories. I want to know, like, what prompted that? What did you learn along the way? And how has that shaped you going forward? So before we get into that, you're in Southern California. You have a good book of business. What does that look like? Because we're probably looking at what? Was this 2016 now, 2017, 2018 time period?
Yep. 2016 was where I kind of hit, I would say, like a breaking point. So, I got in the business and I was in some coaching programs and
you were in some really good coaching programs, both as a student and as a coach.
Yep.
Okay.
Big name programs. I was a good student and I was just doing what I was supposed to do. Built a great business. I think in 2016, I made like around 400,000. So, good income.
Yeah. Entered the industry in 2009 and 7 years later, you're bringing in 400K. That's yes.
However, at that point, I found myself super unhappy. It was never enough because I think as I reflect back now, I was chasing something that was what somebody else wanted me to chase. And so I was unhappy because I was accomplishing things for goals that I set that I didn't really have a personal connection to. I was working a lot. I was caffeinating myself awake in the morning with tons of coffee. I was drinking myself to sleep at night to, deal with the stress. I was working long days. I got a picture of my wife. I'm not necessarily proud of it, but my wife brought our 3 kids into my office with a hot meal because I was working so much. I just wouldn't come home even to eat. And she brought the 3 kids in a stroller and a hot meal, and we sat at my desk and ate dinner. Like that was what a family dinner looked like many times. And so, what changed was I hit a point where I'm like, this is never going to be enough and I'm never going to be happy because it's not really what I want. The house, the car, hold on.
The car.
Okay, the car I want. All right.
We didn't cover that yet. Brian likes fast cars. He may be a homesteader.
Yeah.
He may be living on his 12 acres, but yes, whether it's the Mustang or whether it's the Audi, you like your fast cars.
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That hasn't changed.
Okay.
But I realized that it's just not what I wanted. It wasn't fulfilling me, and what I didn't know what I really wanted. So when my wife and we bought a house in 2016, And like within 2 weeks of buying the house, my wife and I were sitting in the dining room, and we both kind of were looking at each other and feeling depressed. And we were both like, why did we buy this house? We don't want to do this. We don't want to be here anymore. We don't want this life. And so we had just bought a house. We were building this life, but we both realized like this isn't what we want. My wife always wanted to leave California. That was always kind of on her list.
Because she too was born and raised.
Yep, Los Angeles. Yep. And so we made a pretty drastic move. My wife came to me and she was like, hey, so I see this lady on Instagram and she and her family are traveling around the country in an Airstream. We should do that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. I'm a loan officer. I can't do that.
This is like pre-COVID, right? We're not talking about.
Oh yeah. This is very much before anybody else was really doing it. So, I was seeing trends that people didn't want to come meet their loan officer in person for a consultation. They want to do it on the phone or over email. And so I started thinking, well, I don't have to be in the office anymore. So I started working from home, going to coffee shops, and I realized I don't need to be in the office. So I'm going to get out. So, we sold our house. And we sold everything we owned except for a few small things that fit in a 10 by 10 storage unit, and bought a big Class A motorhome, and we bounced.
Did that sleep, all 5 of you, comfortably?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mostly comfortably.
Did the kids have bunks and you had like a stateroom?
Yep. So we had a bedroom in the back. There was a bunk house that like slid out, and then the couch turned into another bed. So sort of comfortably, because every day we had to like set the couch up for my daughter and put it back up, Yeah. It was, that was a defining moment in my life when I said, you know what? I don't want that. And what I do want is something else. I don't know what that is. I just know it's not what I had.
Yeah.
We didn't know that we were moving to Tennessee when we left either. We left destination unknown. So, it's funny. You say the bus broke down. It was very strategic. As we were traveling for 2 years, we kept a list of every place we went that we loved and places that we would want to go back or maybe live. And we started realizing, gosh, we have 50 things on this list, cities. And so we started.
I was going to say, what else stood out to you? Like, you're in Knoxville, Tennessee now.
Look, so I'm like the systems and process and structure guy. So
yeah, look, if you come coach with TLOP's original coaching, right? This is Coach BK, and every one of our coaches has like their own superpower. And I look at myself as a GM, and I'm having to put together a great sports team. And I can't have a bunch of left-handed hitting shortstops.
Right.
So like Coach Gwen's going to lean hard into Facebook, but she's also badass at building a team and leadership. But Coach BK, you want systems and you want processes, that's your dude. So it translates not just to audio engineering and not just to the mortgage industry. It must also translate to traveling the country.
Picking a state. Yep.
Okay. So walk us through that.
So Cliff Note version, spreadsheet of all the places we would consider. And then, why don't we score each place? Let's figure out what matters to us, and let's give each place a score, and we'll just get the top 3 and pick on that.
What were the top 3 then?
Tennessee, Colorado, and Maine.
So those were states. So you didn't care Knoxville as much as
we did, but we started with the process of elimination via states. Like what states just don't fit with where we want to be. And then once we got down to the states, we looked at the cities.
What was wrong with Montana? Because I know you spent, I'm so jealous about this. Brian spent 2 months at Glacier National Park. Was it just too remote? Montana? Do you remember?
Winters. Yep.
Okay. So
and that's why we didn't go to Maine, really, because of winters. If my wife had it her way, we'd have been in Maine.
Anywhere in particular? Would you have been like down south, like in Portland, Maine, or would you have been like
probably
up in
Bar Harbor area?
Okay, all the way
Bahaba,
up.
I think is how they say it, right?
I love Acadia National Park.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's awesome. So what a cool adventure. Your kids will always have those memories, correct?
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, they were old enough. They were old enough that they.
My daughter won't remember a lot of it. She was 3 when we left.
Okay.
The kids were young.
Yeah.
But both of my boys have a lot of memories from the road.
Yeah. So you found yourself now in Knoxville. You got rid of the bus, or do you still own the bus?
We got rid of it.
You got rid of it.
Yep.
Now you have your house, you have your farm, your chickens and your pigs and
cows.
You don't have any goats. You have any goats?
We used to. We got rid of them.
You have geese though, right?
We just butchered the geese.
You had geese.
Careful what you ask.
You had some geese.
We had some geese. Yep.
So you literally walked away from Because of those agents that you worked with back in 2016, when you bought the house, when you're making the $400,000 a year, how many do you work with today?
How many of those realtors?
Yeah.
Two.
Yep. Yeah.
And they're both friends.
Okay.
Yep.
And
so you know,
I'm sorry. I was going to ask you though. You did work while this wasn't a 2 year.
yeah.
This wasn't a 2 year hiatus or 2
No, it
year
wasn't a
sabbatical.
vacation.
So
No,
you
yeah.
were still working.
Correct. Yep. So I did keep contact with people that I could. I was also calling on people while we traveled. So, you know, hey, I'm in your town, right?
Yeah.
So I met with a handful of folks while we traveled because I would just be calling people on the cities we were going, like realtors, trying to get meetings and referrals. So, I worked about 15 to 20 hours a week for those 2 years. It was, I mean, the work-life balance was pretty wonderful. It was little work, lots of life.
Yeah.
So, you know, my mornings were generally work. I had a little setup in the bedroom of the RV and a screen and keyboard and mouse, and I just stood and worked and, would work in the morning and play the rest of the day. It was pretty awesome.
How would you describe your setup today to somebody? Like
My setup?
Yeah, like looking at where you are. You obviously were somebody that you jumped into the industry in 2009. You went all in.
Yep.
You know, what's it called? You burned the boat, you cut the umbilical cord, you did all that.
Yep.
You cut your teeth, you worked the long hours, you invested in coaching.
Yep.
Coaching worked.
Absolutely.
So much that you were asked to start coaching for the same organization. You're making the money, right? You're a top 1% earner.
Yep.
You have the fancy car, you have the wife, you have the kids, you have the new house. None of it's fulfilling. So you sell everything, you buy the Class A RV, you travel the country for 2 years, wind up in Knoxville, Tennessee. Yeah, that's a massive journey, right?
Yeah.
Both physically, mentally, emotionally, and knowing you as a friend spiritually.
For sure.
For you guys.
Yep.
Where do you sit today? The 40-year-old you, not the 30-year-old you. You're still doing 30 million. You're still running a branch that's going to do 50 million. That still pays. I don't even need to know your comp plan nor see your W-2 to tell people that pays really good money. At least good money the way I grew up.
Yep.
But you're a totally different person at 40 than you were 30.
Oh yeah.
And I would guess that the men and women who work with you, or the men and women who get coached by you here at TLOP, like they get to experience this version of you. But for the people who are meeting you for the first time, how would you describe who you are today as a person, professional, husband, father, etc.?
Well, I mean, I'm still very much a work in progress. That's no doubt. I think probably one of the biggest things in my headspace that changed was like not worrying or focusing on stuff that doesn't matter. And I was so like how I physically appeared, what I was wearing, the watch on my wrist, the tie, like I was so caught up in all of the appearances and chasing stuff that didn't matter. And now I'm basically the opposite. Most of the time I've got to tone it back a little bit because I don't want to be offensive to people, but I'm like, why do you care about that? That's so stupid. Like it's not worth your mental power. I mean, I am still on my way back down with my work hours. I'm around 40 to 45 right now, but my goal is to get back down to 30. Man, my work is great. I love helping people. I've got an amazing team, and my team drives me more than my clients do. And my partners are huge. Seeing the difference that is made in my team members' lives from a great job, a good income source, stability, a fulfilling workplace. Those are the things that really drive and motivate me now. So I think probably the biggest change would just be my priority system. You know, the way I look at things, it's just very different today.
Looking back at your career, what is one thing, and you may have had to do this because you walked away and rebuilt. Maybe you recently did it through the rebuild, but looking back at your career for the past, I guess, where we sit now, 16, 17 years almost, right?
16, yep.
Yeah. What's one thing that if you had to do it all over again, or you're coaching someone who's a little bit younger than you in their career, that you're like, do this? What's that one thing that you would tell someone, make sure
Only
you go
one?
do? Give me 3 if you have 3.
I mean, I would say the first would be hire somebody sooner. You need help.
Okay.
I delayed my own growth because I was hesitant to bring on a team member. You know, the idea of like a salary and having to pay someone else before you get paid, that's scary, right? Especially the first time you do it. I wish I would have done that sooner. And then getting over my fear of like call reluctance and rejection took me way too long. It shouldn't have taken me as long as it did.
Do you have any good Jedi mind tricks for people that are dealing with like call reluctance?
Yeah. I think the big thing for me is I used to see sales calls as like sales, and nobody likes a used car salesman or really wants to feel like that. And I've shifted my mindset strictly to helping people. If you don't need a mortgage, that's cool. I'm okay with that. I will help you and serve however I can. And if you want what I've got to offer, that's great. I'm happy to get you that loan. If you don't, that's okay too. And when I moved my perspective away from selling into serving, that's not hard for me. I like to help people. I like to serve people. I don't like to sell. And so I used to think of these as like sales calls. I'm calling people to sell stuff. And now it's relationship. Like, look, if I call a real estate agent to meet and they don't want to meet, that's cool. No skin off my back.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You had nothing to sell. You're just offering your help.
That's right. And they don't want it.
Yeah.
Or they don't want what they think I'm offering, and maybe I'll call back later and see if they might want it then. No big deal. Yeah. But all the pressure went away when I took the pressure out of how I communicated, how I spoke to people. My sense of like not wanting to do it went away too.
What motivated you early on? Like
money.
Money. Okay.
Yep.
I'm happy you said that, because in my world, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I have a reel from a previous episode that John and I recorded where I'm like looking at the camera. I'm telling people, like, anyone who tells you it's not about the money, in my experience, either already has money or they'll never have money. And I think for many of us, it is all about the money until you realize it's not. Yep. But you can't realize it's not until you get it.
The money is still part of it, right?
Well,
I don't know anyone that, I mean, the way that we want to live, our plans for the future, like I can't be a store manager at Hobby Lobby to do that, right? So I've got to execute at a higher level. But, you know, the purpose is more meaningful to me now. I mean, but obviously the money is part of it, because, you know, we're going on a sweet vacation next month for a couple of weeks to Ireland and Scotland. And
that sounds
those
awesome.
sorts of things don't happen easily, right?
You know, my wife's going to book this for us. We learned about it when we were on a trip this summer and met another couple that was on, like, you know, doing the same thing. I think we're actually hiking Mount Rainier. And if you do enough hiking, and you guys have done this through your travels, like you meet people out on the trails. And sometimes it's actually safety in numbers. So you want to be, especially when you're hiking in glacier, which is bear country, it's nice to be with other people.
Yep.
So we had met this couple out on the trail. We're hiking Mount Rainier, and they were talking about they did a Ireland vacation where you walked from town to town to town.
That sounds crazy.
But they said it's only like 2 or 3 hours of walking a day, and then they had a whole entire like van system that would take your luggage. But they're like, you know, you're going through like, you know, the Emerald Isle, so it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And you're on these cliffs and you're on the water, but you're also like on foot. That add a little bit of adventure. So I'm assuming you guys aren't quite doing that yet.
No.
But you're going to go to Temple
Or
Bar.
a road trip.
You're going to go to Dublin and do all that.
Yep.
Go up to Edinburgh, see Braveheart's castle.
I think so.
His castle.
That's in Scotland.
It's in Scotland.
Yes, we're going there.
Yep.
My wife does most of the planning. She's the brains of the operation.
Yeah, but you're the one.
I just do the spreadsheets.
You're the one who looks very Scottish. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and you probably like to drink scotch.
Not really.
Not really.
I can't do the peatiness of it.
Interesting.
I'm bourbon pretty much only.
You and I are that much more the same today, because I'm the guy that went on a Scotch distillery tour. I was hand selected to do like the private tasting, and I literally told the guy, "You're wasting it."
You didn't like it.
I don't like Scotch.
Yeah,
no,
I can't get into it.
Yeah, and shout out to Doug Long. Doug Long is a mentor of mine. Been in the industry for 40 plus years. He's like a legend in the industry. And Doug's in Orlando, Florida. And Doug and I meet, I don't know, once a year, probably text once a year. But when we do, it's very meaningful to me and impactful. He's a huge Scotch guy.
Okay.
And I remember the first time like Doug and I met for like oysters and beer. He's like, "Oh, you like Scotch?" And I was thinking, oh, God, no, I don't. But I'm not going to tell him I don't like scotch. I powered through drinking a scotch with him.
Yeah.
And then finally I had to tell him, like, he's like, oh, you like scotch? I'm like, nope. I'm like, bourbon, yes. I'll do bourbon all day long. Scotch, I won't. All right, sorry. We went down that rabbit hole, y'all.
All right. That's all right.
So, yes, this industry affords people like you and I and people who are tuning into the show the opportunity to do things like pay for your kids' education, if that's a priority of yours, to potentially retire and live a lifestyle unlike most retired people, or to retire and not have to change your lifestyle, which that's really my goal. Is I want to keep the same lifestyle going, but I need to make enough money and save enough money today so that if I want to retire at 55 or 59.
That's my number, by the way, 55.
Mine too.
Yep.
Mine too. I'm not confident that me being me is actually not going to work.
No, you're definitely going to work.
But I'm setting it out there that at 55 I'm done, which means that at any moment if someone pisses me off, I just walk out the door.
Yeah, you're done needing to, right?
And I Irish goodbye them.
Yep.
Technically I could say I'm done needing to today. Like that's every reason why I get to TLOP.
Yep.
Right, is because I put myself in a position where I don't have to work, but if I didn't work, I'd have to adjust my lifestyle.
Yep.
I'd have to follow one of those things. God, what are they called? Budgets?
Those suck.
No, they suck big time. You know, my favorite way to budget is this. Isn't the way I coach it, isn't the way I teach it. It's like this is once you've made it to this stage in your career, high five, right? You have the 6 months reserves, you're maxing out the 401k, you're maxing out the IRA, you have no credit card debt. Then, right?
Throw it over the fence.
Well, yeah, then throw it over the fence. But I just got to a point once I made it through all of that, which took my wife and I 5 years of hard work and being diligent and responsible to get to that point. No, then I just said, as long as I save 20% of gross, I don't have to budget. Like my minimum is 20. There's been some years I've done 50.
Yep.
Right. Years like 2020, 2021, I saved 50% of my gross. Right. Yeah. That means I basically lived on 25% of my gross.
Yeah. Well, because your gross is really high. That's not hard to do.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. Uncle Sam took 25%. I lived on 25% and I saved 50%.
Nice.
Yes. And no, I teach people all the time. I go, I don't know why people tell you to focus on saving. Focus on earning. It's way easier to save money when you're earning it.
Yep. It's
way harder when you're limited in your earnings. There's not a whole lot to save.
Right.
So we digress. We were talking about this lifestyle. We're talking about, your vacation. Let me get things back on track real quick, Brian, and then we can find a way to put a bow on today's episode and move on. But before we do, I do want to talk about your future. But I had one last question I was going to ask you with the last train of thought. We talked about the two things that you would do again. What's one thing you wouldn't do again? Like older, wiser you, looking back over the past 17 years, what's one thing that you're like, oh, I will never do that again? Or I'm going to give advice to somebody who may be 5 or 10 years behind me, watch out for X. What are we either not going to do or what are we watching out for?
Gosh, that's a tough one. One of the things that I struggle with around that question is the concept of regret, because all the experiences we've had and decisions we've made got us to today. And so there's not a lot that I wouldn't want to repeat because I've learned a lot. I would say one thing that I would not touch again that I haven't in a long time is financial relationships with referral partners, co-marketing, Zillow partnerships. It's not bad. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Leading a relationship with money means that money is the source of the relationship, and it creates tension. I'm not getting a return. I'm giving you $2,000 a month and I'm not even closing a loan a month out of it. Like, what the heck, right? And if the money stops, then they're pretty much done with you. So I wouldn't do that again.
I had a word for that. Like when you lead into a relationship with money, I called that prostitution.
Yeah.
That said, I've done episodes where I can coach and teach a loan officer exactly how to enter.
There's a model and a way to do it well, no doubt.
Yes.
It's just not my cup of tea.
It's just not for you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just not for you. So that's something that going back or even rebuilding, you're like, you know what? I stay away from that because I learned it wasn't for me. Yep. It's okay if it's for you. It's just not for me.
So maybe to clarify that what I wouldn't have done was the dollars participation, but what I would have done sooner in place of that would have been a laser focus on a referral-based business. So today, My business is 100% referral based. I don't spend a single penny on advertising, marketing. I don't have a billboard. I don't pay to boost posts on social media. No, nothing. Anything you can think of. No. I have one Zillow partnership. So in full disclosure, so that if he watches this, he's not like, hey, Brian. A friend of mine in real estate, I pay $88 a month for his Zillow page. And he asked me to do this a couple of years ago because he was getting lenders calling him all the time saying, hey, I see you don't have anyone marketing with you on Zillow. You want to do it with me? And he was like, would you do this just to get these stupid people to stop calling? Your name will be there and it'll save me a little headache. I'm like, yeah, man, no big deal.
Yeah.
But that's the extent of it. I would have gone all in sooner on that because the relationships, the referral focus, for me specifically, is way more fulfilling.
What's the future look like for you? So we know you're going to work till 55.
Yep.
But what does that look like? Is it still you originating? Is 30 million a sweet spot? Are you trying to get to 50? You're trying to get to 100? Are you trying to go somewhere else in your career?
So 55 is my year that I want to no longer need to work at all. And I have the ability just to be like, nope, I'm going to live my life. Until then, my plan is to continue originating. I would like to get my production back to around 50 million. That was a good rhythm for me of personal freedom and accomplishing the goals we want to do. But also, I don't have to work too much doing that. Pushing much higher to me, or at least I perceive that it's going to require a lot more hours. And the other part of my goal is getting my work hours back down. I would love to be back down to a 25-hour work week.
Is that 5 days a week or 4 days a week?
4.
4.
Yep.
What day do you not work?
Friday.
Yep. Okay, but your team works Friday.
Yep.
So your team's available, but you're not available.
Correct.
Awesome.
And I used to do that. And when we traveled, I was 15 to 20 hours a week, 4 days a week. And
what type of volume were you doing those 2 years when you traveled? Like, I'm assuming you
right around 20 million.
You still were doing 20 million?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think solid. My lower of the 2 years was like 18 point something.
Yeah.
So
what about the branch? Are you looking to expand your branch, or are you
absolutely
you are?
Yeah. So, I think loan officers in most companies are under supported and have too many expectations placed on them. And so I created my branch and built it to a place that like I want to work at as an originator. And when I looked at my business before I had other loan officers working under me, I was like, dang, this is a sweet setup. I got somebody who does pre-approvals. I got somebody who does contract to close. All I've got to do is manage relationships, talk to referral sources, talk to my borrowers, make sure my team is doing what they need to do to keep everybody happy. And so I absolutely am growing my branch. I just brought another loan officer on 2 weeks ago. He's in TLOP.
Nice.
My goal is, without getting into great detail, I'd like at least 10 originators under me. I've got kind of a model for sales manager, ops manager, stuff like that. But yeah, so that's about the next 10 years. I'd like to get the branch to, I haven't set specific numbers on branch. I want my personal production back to about 50. I think I'd like to see the branch around 100-ish million.
Yeah.
So that's the goal.
You are the systems guru. I can only imagine what it's like to be a loan officer who plugs into your system. I have a friend, and she now works for you, right? And I have a friend out in Wyoming, and you're in Tennessee, and she called me, and she's like, hey, what are your thoughts on X, Y, and Z? I go, BK? She's like, yeah. I go, all day. I'm like, BK all day. I'm not talking Burger King. I'm talking Brian Kimball, because I know her.
Yep.
Right. I know where Kelly is in her career. I know where she is in life. I even know her market because Wyoming's one of my favorite states to vacation to.
Yep.
Not where Kelly lives. Don't tell her I said that. But no.
Shout out. Hi, Mom.
Yeah. But yeah, inside joke there. But it was like, that's your dude. Yep. Like, there are originators that would do amazing with you, especially those that are like, I like to sell. I like to network. I like to manage the relationship. I'm a bit of a hot mess when it comes to my systems and processes. Here's one thing I can tell you, and Brian doesn't have to. If you can submit, meaning learn to listen, be coachable, and you can plug in, the hard work is done.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The hard work is done, but you do have to follow that set system.
Right.
And it'll work wonders for you. And then you too can focus on how can you maximize your earning while also minimizing your work
cool
hours
life.
and living a cool life. Last question. Raising your 3 kids, And I know your dad, by the way, so shout out to Joe. Like I worked with Joe Kimball, worked with Brian Kimball. Joe's still active originating. The dude is like your reverse mortgage guru. So if you're ever looking for a reverse mortgage, you need a reverse mortgage guru, reach out to Brian's dad. He now lives in Florida.
Yep.
But my last question used to stem from, I would ask people like, what's something you wish was taught to you while growing up, but it just wasn't? And you might not have that. So I'll put that in the back of your head, but in the front of your head, I'm going to say, what's something you're making sure your 3 kids learn as you and your wife raise them because you wished it was emphasized more to you growing up, or better yet, it's something you learned through the School of Hard Knocks?
That's a great question. You can do whatever you want to do in life. You can create the life you want to live. I think so many of us are limited by the thinking of like, I have to follow this one path or I have to go this one way, but you don't. You can do whatever you want. You can build a career the way you want. You can build a life the way you want. You can build your finances the way you want. You can create it the way you want it. And you asked about what with our kids. I tell my kids, you can do whatever you want. Just be the best you can possibly be at it. If you want to be a park ranger, go be the best freaking park ranger there is. If you want to be a doctor, go have people write books about you because you were such a good doctor. And in the mortgage space, man, the possibilities are limitless. You know that. And the life that we want to live, like if we've got a friend who travels the world doing loans, right?
Yeah, shout out to Danielle Anderson.
That's
we
right.
talk about her a lot on this show.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to do it. Just get after it.
Love it. Brian, if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
I don't know. However they want.
Is it your website? Is it your email? Are you a Facebook guy, a LinkedIn guy? Like, look, I'm a LinkedIn guy. You want to get a hold of Dustin Owen? First name Dustin, last name Owen. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Give me a follow. Send me a message. My second best way, Instagram, @ the Loan Officer Podcast. If you send me a Facebook messenger, I will miss it. It'll take me weeks to reply. Now, you can email me, do@tloponline.com. And if you can use Google and find my cell phone number, feel free to give me a call. But I can tell people LinkedIn's my jam. Yeah. What's your jam?
I would say if someone wants to reach out, start on my website, brian4homeloans.com.
Okay.
That's got my email, my phone number. I'm probably more active on Facebook than I am Instagram. So if someone wants to reach out there, Facebook Messenger is good too.
Beautiful. And y'all, look, if you want to come learn with me, with Coach Gwen, Coach Ross, Coach BK, Coach Rebecca, have Doc Stacy doing her thing for you.
Coach Christie,
yes. Make sure Coach Christie is actually getting ready to release her 3rd published book. Yeah, next month. Cool. That's so cool. Yeah. Like, we have PhD level faculty, we have authors, we have top producers. Like, you name it, we're checking all the boxes. But all the information is found on our website, which is tloponline.com, TLOP online. When you're on that website, sign up for the newsletter, because here's why. We're going to invite you every month to a free masterclass. All you have to do is sign up for our newsletter, which our newsletter is something I write, and I give you sales tips. I give you market updates. It comes out once a week. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, forward this to a friend, share it with a colleague, listen to us on Spotify and Apple, and keep tuning back in. He's Brian Kimball, a.k.a. Coach BK. I'm Dustin Owen. You just tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast. That's all the time we have for you today, but we do look forward to catching you on the next episode. Peace.